Welcome back to Vibe 609 Radio. We are still with our guest, Tim Jones. In this segment here, we'll be talking about getting involved with your city government. Welcome back, Tim.
Thank you, Brother James.
Okay, it's on you.
Well, this segment I would like to talk about getting involved with your city government. This is another very important thing for people to consider and get involved with. In your city government, you have two basic bodies that to be concerned about. You have your school board and you have your city council. Under the school board, you have I believe it's 9 people that are elected to represent the issues of the school board. And then you have 7 members of the city council, then you're along with the mayor. And they are the people who principally decide what goes on with your education of your children and how the money flows throughout your community once it comes into the community and what money comes into the community. They have a major role to play. The problem with a lot of this is, and it goes all the way up to the federal government, we have a system whereas people to get into these positions, all they have to do is be elected. Look at this guy Santos in New York right now. Everybody wants him out, but he's already elected and they can't do anything about it. It's tragedy. But the fundamental problem is there's really no requirement to have knowledge to be a school board member, city council member, or mayor. It's a kind of crazy thing to say, but it's really true. What else happens with these positions is when the public does not pay attention and show concern over what goes on, they tend to just listen to each other or just go with the flow. It becomes, in my opinion, just a popularity contest. Sometimes it's a difficult thing for people to do is to go against the flow, to stand out, to be the one that says no when everyone is saying yes, or be the one that says yes when everyone is saying no. And so when you have that type of group mentality going on, you tend to get very, very bad decisions. The way I got involved with this stuff is basically almost a year ago. I happened to be listening to a Zoom meeting where someone was mentioning the fact that they were going to bring a dump into Pleasantville. And when they said that, I said, what? A dump into Pleasantville? And I said, no, I got to see what this is about. So I went to a city council meeting. I had gone to city council meetings before, but it was only years ago. I tend to do a lot of you, I bet, do. You just trust that the people that are elected in these positions are just handling the business. I'm here to let you know it's not necessarily so. I'm not trying to throw no shade. I'm not saying anybody's corrupt or anything like that. A lot of times it comes down to just a lack of knowledge and a lack of motivation to find out things. But the things they need to know, they don't seek. And then what happens with a lot of these entities, just like the city council and your school board, they become victims of salesmen. People who will come to them and tell them, oh, you need this. It's almost like going to buy a car, and you go in there. I know I need a car, but then the salesman, he's there to make money, so he's gonna pull a move on you to make sure that he benefits from you buying that car. It's the same thing with contracts. It's the same thing with all kinds of things that go on in the city and the Board of Education. Your role in this as a citizen is to be there to show concern. It's an amazing thing. Just think about this. An issue that can come up that can cost literally $1 billion to the city over a long run. It gets presented to the city council members in a packet of information on a Friday, and a lot of times they are expected to vote on it. The first time it gets presented is a Monday, and then the next time it comes about at the second meeting of the month, in a month's time, they get to vote on these matters. A lot of times they're voting for things they have no clue what they're voting on. There's no one there to make sure that they actually know what the details of matters are. And this is where we come in. As a public, we have to be the watchdogs for our community. We have to make sure that they know what they're getting into. And maybe it may seem unfair to you that we have to basically do that job, but unless you want things to go very bad in your city, you have to be on it. For example, that the trash transfer thing. It was a transfer station. They wanted to bring construction debris when they demolish a building or tear a roof off of a house. They wanted to bring all this stuff to a facility on Washington Avenue, by over there around the corner from where Kmart used to be, and basically put it on rail cars and then cart it out of the city and actually out of the state from there. And we when we got into this, we discovered this is not a good thing for Pleasantville. The people who run the city saying, well, we're going to get $400,000 a year from this. It may sound like a lot of money to you, but you got to really know what money is to deal with these things. $400,000 sounds like a lot, but given considerations of the hundreds of dump trucks that are going to be running down these streets from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. 6 days a week, look what the wear and tear is going to be on the roads. Think about the pollution. Think about the dust and debris that's going to be coming off those rail cars and going into places like Washington Avenue School, where your kids are now going to be susceptible to pollution. These are the things that a lot of times city council people don't consider, because they're just listening to the salesman that tells them, hey, I can put you on this deal, and it's going to bring your city $400,000 a year. Sometimes I feel like to some of these people, they can tell you that, they don't really feel the difference between $400,000 and $400. But that's just another subject that I have an opinion on. The bottom line is you need to know what's going on. Another issue was the city was prepared last year to enter into what was called a sewer concession deal, where they were going to lease our sewer system to a company out of Louisiana, where they were going to give the city of Pleasantville, according to the contract, no more than $57 million over the next 39 years in terms of money up front, $15 million up front, and $10 million or so. It was a schedule of payments that they were going to give us in terms of fixing our city sewer system so we can get new streets and things like that. On the surface, it all sounds good. But when you look at the agreement, the taxpayers, not the city, but the taxpayers of Pleasantville would have to pay that same company over $283, and that's the minimum figure, $283 million over the 39-year period in order to get $57 million from them. Does that make sense to you?
Not at all.
Doesn't make sense to me.
And that's less than $2 million a year.
Yeah, I mean, and right now the sewer system brings the city $1.5 million a year just in revenue. It goes out because they spend the money, but the sewer system actually makes the city money. The sewer system brings in about $5 million a year, and out of that $5 million a year, $3.5 million goes out for sewer treatment and things like that, which gives you a net of about $1.5 million. But we were getting ready to give all that over to these people because they said, well, we'll give you $15 million up front.
And that was a shell company, correct?
Yeah, it was a private equity company. Private equity, if you don't know, is money that comes from investors that pull their monies together, and all they're looking for is a place where they can make money on their money. And then these companies come to places like Pleasantville where they see an economic need, and then they come and make this pitch to people who really don't know the financial ins and outs and make it sound like a good deal, and they go for it. There's so many municipalities, Chester, Pennsylvania, outside of Philly, Bayonne, New Jersey, up north here. They have been lured into these deals, and now the taxpayers have to suffer from paying all these outrageous sewer bills because of these deals that the cities can't even get out of. Praise God, we got that out of that one here in Pleasantville, and I hope it doesn't come back. We can do better than that. But as a public, you need to know what's going on. And you need to come to the meeting so you do know what's going on. And so you can share it with your other fellow taxpayers. And don't think just because you don't own a house and you rent, it doesn't affect you. Because when your taxes go up, your rent goes up. It all matters, and you need to know it, and you need to get involved. Another thing is, make sure you have your children involved. Bring your children, especially teenage children and young adults. Bring them. Encourage them to come to school board meetings, city council meetings, just to see what goes on, just to learn what really matters. And that may encourage them to get involved and be the voice that will really, truly represent your needs and interests down the road.
Now, how would one who doesn't know much about the system find out when are the city council meetings scheduled?
Well, the city council meetings are scheduled the first and third Monday of every month. except for when there's a holiday. For example, we had the Martin Luther King Day today, so instead of Monday, the city council meeting will be held on Wednesday. And occasionally they have special meetings for special purposes where they need to handle things along the year. But fundamentally, it's the first and third Monday of every month. And the school board meets the second Tuesday of every month. City council meetings are at the municipal court over there across from City Hall at 6:30, and the school board meetings are at the high school in the cafeteria. I believe they start at 6 o'clock. Get involved. Get involved, because when
And that's inside the courtroom. That's inside the courtroom, inside the police station, right?
correct.
Okay.
And then sometimes they go into special sessions, and they'll have you just waiting around. Thankfully, we've got them to change the way they do this, so they don't have people waiting in the lobby where you can wait until the office. But if there's an issue that's of concern to you, be prepared to wait it out so that you can be heard on matters. What you say does matter. When you don't speak, you're leaving it to people who are really not getting any guidance from anybody to do what's going to cause them not to be unpopular with their fellow council persons or fellow board persons. That doesn't represent your interests, and you need to be there to represent your interests as citizens of Pleasantville.
Now, and I know in the school board meetings, you have to arrive pretty much before it starts and put your name on a book in order to be heard. Is that the same with the city council?
They recently imposed some rules where they tried to do that, but as I've noticed the last couple of meetings, they have been kind of lax. These things are basically governed by whoever is the president of the school board or president of the city council in any given year. And so those rules, they are there, but sometimes they're followed, sometimes they're not. Basically, but if you know that you want to speak on an issue, just be there at the beginning of the meeting and walk up to the podium there and just put your name on the paper if it exists. As I was talking to you about earlier, there's issues that have gone on in Pleasantville that have caused an alarm where people have started to come out and express their concerns, and we've been able to make a difference. Another thing going on now that's going to be voted, begin to be heard again, is the property on the old high school property on the bayfront, the Lakes Bay Project, as it's called. There's a developer that wants to put 180 apartments on that property. And they want to strike a deal with the city of Pleasantville that they will pay roughly 25% of the taxes that they would normally pay for a term of 30 years. That's what they brought to the table last month. When we got wind of it as the public, we showed up and we expressed our objection to doing such a deal. The city complains they don't have enough money for this, they don't have enough money for that. My question is, how do you have the money when you don't collect the money that you should collect? If you are running a business and you giving everything away at dirt cheap prices, is there any wonder why you're not making any profit? It's the same kind of thing that I see happening in this city. They have people who are quote-unquote consultants that they listen to, and it's ironic. The city pays these people to represent the city, and yet it seems to me that they always represent the developers that are bringing these projects to Pleasantville. Pleasantville, over the last 10 years or so, has engaged in maybe more than 10 years, maybe say 15 years. I don't know the exact figure. They have engaged in many of these programs they call pilot programs, payments in lieu of taxes, where they have given 30-year tax deals to various entities. Most of them, unfortunately, have had a component of affordable, low-income, moderate income, and senior housing as part of the deal. This Lakes Bay project, you're talking about a one-bedroom apartment starting at $1,900 a month, according to this agreement, and yet they want to give this guy a deal. We fought it. At the end of the month, they had a special meeting 2 days after Christmas we found out about. And the guy who wanted to do this deal for 30 years, he came back and said, we'll do it for 22 years. Do you realize how much money the city would have just made off of that concession being made, going from a 30-year, 25% of the taxes to 22 years? However, myself and many of the taxpayers in the city say that's not good enough. My position is build what you want to build, charge what you want to charge, and pay your taxes just like I have to pay my taxes. However, The cities have been lulled into this mindset. If we don't do this, no one will ever come and nothing will ever get done. We will never grow. You can grow yourself into bankruptcy. Imagine if you took your paycheck and every dollar you got in your paycheck, you went out and spent. Is it any wonder you don't have anything? These things have to be managed. And that's why we as citizens need to be involved to see what goes on in our city and to have an opinion and let our opinion be known. Because these same people who are making these decisions, they all come up for election. Council persons, they are elected for 3-year terms. And believe it, I do believe it, that they care about being re-elected. And so if they are going to sit there and not listen to the will of the people, they can suffer the consequence of people not voting for them again in the next election. But then that goes to the prior conversation. For that to matter, you got to vote.
Wow. If so, all the viewers out there that was unaware of everything the brother is speaking on, it's time to get in where you fit in so you can make a difference in the city of Pleasantville. Is there anything else you would like to add on that?
Well, I just would like to just emphasize again, please, please make time just to be there. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to speak. You don't have to mention your name. But be there. Let these council persons, these school board persons know that there are people who are watching and care what they do. Many times, school board meetings, prior to there being an issue on the table that has raised concern, and especially city council meetings, they would have meetings and no one would be in the audience other than people trying to sell something to the city. How do you think that's going to work out? Are your interests going to be represented when no one from your interest is in the audience that they have to listen to or hear from or be accountable to or even know about the deals? Just as I spoke of those 30-year tax abatement deals that have been going on in the city, none of them have ever been published in the press. I went through press articles dating back for like the last 25 years and only found 2 30-year tax abatements. One was for the old Linux China factory over there in Galloway, which, by the way, is industrial. It doesn't have children. It doesn't have needs for the police, fire, school, like a housing unit situation would have. And they employed 400 people. They got a 30-year tax abatement. Another was for in Egg Harbor City for a low-income and senior housing project that they did in Egg Harbor City. I'm not to say that these are only 30-year deals that go down, but they go down very quietly, and you would never hear about it. You got to be on it, folks. If you're not on it, we're going to lose out in more ways than you could imagine.
Wow. It's almost like unbelievable. But yeah, I think you've touched all the points, and I hope the listening audience is taking heed to this. If you reside in the city of Pleasantville, you need to take action. You need to show up at the council meetings. You need to put pressure on the people you have elected to office instead of just electing them there and leaving them there. If they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, you need to be trying to petition to get them out of that seat. You know, put some pressure on these people to get some real results, because it sounds like to me they are very comfortable and they don't feel as though there is no pressure on them from the people. So if I was you guys, I would make sure they felt my presence.
And like I said before, Pleasantville is not alone with this. It goes on in all kinds of cities, all kinds of places. It goes on at the state level. I had an opportunity to go to the State House one day last month just to see how those sessions work. The same thing goes there. Someone will propose a bill, and then the people you have an opportunity to speak on it. Most of the time, the people that are speaking on it are from the companies that are trying to get something done in their interest, and they're the ones that typically get heard, and there's no opposition. So guess what happens? Come on, we got to do better than that as a community, and it happens on state, federal level as well. Congress, they get information on bills that they never read. They're signing and voting on stuff that they have no clue what they're even voting on. It happens all the time. We cannot afford that in Pleasantville. We need to actually have the rules changed such that the council persons and the school board persons have an ample amount of time to read, examine, and question what they're voting on instead of just coming to a meeting and say any questions, and having said none, vote yes, 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 yes. We need to do better than that, folks.
I fully agree. And another note I'd say to the people watching, make sure that you represent for the local media companies that's trying to get the word out, and put pressure on them to make sure that we never have problems getting our cameras inside these facilities to get the news back to you guys. Make sure that everything isn't swept under the rug no more, because that's what we're here for. As you can see, that's what we're here for. There's no editing. It's like everything the brother has to say is being said. Nothing's being bleeped out. We're not trying to alter his vision, his thoughts, or anything. This is raw and uncut, and you're only going to get that from local media. So with that being said, matter of fact, once again, is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
Well, just in the interest of full disclosure, and because of the things that I've seen going on in the year 2022, I will be running for city council in the first ward come June. So as I encourage you to vote, I'm not asking you to vote for me. I'm asking you to vote. Vote your mind, vote your thought, but have your opinion be known. And don't go for the okey doke of giving your ballot to someone else to fill in the blanks. That's another thing that's caused so many problems in our community. People just thinking it doesn't matter. Don't sell your vote for 30 pieces of silver. Handle your business and represent your community. I think I have no more to say.
That's right. And that's another thing. If you are a voter, you should vote on people based on what they bring to the table, not just because of what party they represent. Vote for vote for who represents you and your thoughts. With that being said, I am you, you are me, we are everything. Oh, go ahead, brother.
And one more thing. You can watch for yourself city council meetings on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and type in Pleasantville Channel 97, and you can see for yourself what has been going down as far as city council goes. See for yourself and see where you fit in and get in.
That's right. Can you say that one more time?
YouTube. Go to Pleasantville Channel 97. Type in Pleasantville Channel 97 in the search, and you'll see city council meetings. And you'll see how the community has stepped up in recent times. Especially look at the meeting from last month, and that have led to what we're going to be dealing with Wednesday. You just got to be getting involved. And I take great pride in the fact that I see the engagement of a few but very strong and smart people in this community coming up and representing the interests of many of you who have no clue what's even going on. They ought to be commended.
Absolutely. Well, it's been a pleasure as always.
Thank you, Brother James.
You're very welcome. Stay blessed, good brother. And all of y'all out there, the brother told y'all he's going to be running for city council. So keep his ideas and dialogue in your mind if you want true change in Pleasantville.